So I usually don't cover news on this channel because news can usually be covered by a small 1-minute video when it comes to movies, usually on Collider, but this warranted a video. The other day, the director of It Chapter 2 said that the movie is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes long. That's 15 minutes less than Avengers Endgame, and this is a sequel to an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, and it's also a blockbuster horror movie, and it's almost 3 hours. You know what else was 3 hours? Midsommar, which came out recently that I went and saw and hated. And that's a very artsy, higher level kind of horror. And you know what else was almost 3 hours? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that's a Quentin Tarantino movie, also very artsy. And you know what else is about 3 hours? Avengers Endgame, which is the biggest climax that we've ever seen in cinema. And so now we have a regular old adaptation of a Stephen King novel. It's gonna be good, I'm sure, but it's not gonna be anything outstanding. And it's almost 3 hours. Now, I'd like to make it clear here that the actual number that pops up doesn't bother me. I'm fine with long movies. I love long movies. Hell, I'll go watch Wolf of Wall Street right now, and that's 3 hours on the dot. What bothers me is the type of the movie this is and how it doesn't warrant a near 3 hour runtime. So the first element that we have to talk about is the horror element. And in Chapter 1, a lot of jump scares in it. Really well executed jump scares, but jump scares nonetheless. And for 2 hours and 15 minutes, that's fine because it was a lean movie. In this film, this is a half an hour longer. We cannot have jump scares carry the horror through the whole film. It doesn't work. You have to have a creamy atmosphere built up throughout the entire time. It's why The Shining works for being so long. And so we have to have a completely different kind of horror here for a sequel made 2 years later. Probably not going to work, especially for the type of people that are going to see this film. This is not a shot at the people who saw It Chapter 1. I saw It Chapter 1. However, mostly it's teenagers trying to sneak in to go see their R-rated movie, or some older teenagers that are just hanging around with their friends and are there for some good jump scares. People aren't here for this higher level horror. They're not going looking for a Shining level experience here, or a Midsommar level experience here. And forget that I didn't like Midsommar, okay? It still attempted to build this atmosphere throughout the entire film. There's that constant attempt with these longer horror films because that's how you sustain your audience the entire way through. And I don't think that's going to happen here. This is a blockbuster. It's a sequel to a huge horror blockbuster. We're going to have jump scares no matter what. And you can say to yourself that they may, on some slight chance, actually make this really compelling and horrifying atmosphere, but most likely it's going to be a bunch of jump scares layered throughout, maybe a little more atmospheric than the first film, but it's not going to be a whole new level jump here. Let's not even forget that this is a Stephen King adaptation, and for the most part, Stephen King adaptations don't always have the best dialogue. That's not a shot at Stephen King as a writer, it may just happen on the way over to the screenplay. But nonetheless, even Stand By Me, which is one of the better Stephen King films, has a lot of cheesy dialogue. And once again, this is to a lower level audience here. These aren't cinephiles going to see this film on day one. That was Midsommar. That was other films. This isn't that type of movie. And so when we have this static, dialogue that's not compelling, when we have an atmosphere that's going to be lacking, and you're forcing me to sit there for almost 3 hours, it's just such a turnoff. And yeah, some of this is on me, because I've been seeing a lot of really long movies this year, and I'm tired. I want to see a more lean experience at the theater, but that does not excuse this movie for just being way too long, because I'm calling it right now. This is going to be like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10, but I'm going to feel like I spent way too long of a time at the movie theater. It's just exhausting that we're having these longer blockbusters, and if this becomes the new norm, then this is going to be a really big problem at the theater. I mean, fuck streaming as a problem. Let's talk about everyone having to get bladder surgery because these films are so long, and we have to try and extend the amount of time we can hold in our pee. So that's it for today. Comment down below. Tell me what you think of this It Chapter 2 runtime. I am going to be quite interested in the theater to see how this movie somehow is able to pull off this runtime, if it does that. So thank you for watching, and see you all next time.